Good morning. Thank you for joining us today for the release of the legislative priorities of the Oregon House and Senate Democrats for the 2012 session. I'm the House Democratic Caucus Leader, State Representative Tina Kotek, and the House and Senate Democrats are united in our goal to get Oregon's economy back on the track to prosperity. The priorities we're announcing today were crafted in response to the concerns that we've heard from Oregonians around the state. Thus, today we are joined by two Oregonians. With us today are Ginny Reel from Salem, who has had her home taken away because of foreclosure, and also James Vandermeed from McMinnville, who has struggled to get access to capital that he needs to start and grow his small business in Yamhill County. We're going to hear from both of them in a few minutes, and their stories and others like them across the state are what have inspired us in the House and Senate Democratic caucuses to put together our priorities for February. So to begin, I'm going to discuss the House Democrats' action plan, and then my counterpart in the Senate, Senate Majority Leader Senator Diane Rosenbaum, will discuss the Senate's priorities. The House Democrats' action plan for rebuilding Oregon is very much an achievable plan to address the challenges facing Oregonians. Our plan focuses on three areas: making smart investments to create more jobs, protecting the middle class, and prioritizing essential services here at the state. The thing we hear most from Oregonians is they need jobs. While the unemployment rate is dropping, the number of unemployed and underemployed Oregonians is still a very large challenge in our state. And those underemployed and unemployed Oregonians need help. The House Democrats' action plan focuses on barriers to Oregon's economic recovery. We identify the problems and provide solutions. One of the problems is small businesses don't have access to the capital they need to grow and hire more folks. So to solve this, we will have a bill this session to harness the state's existing resources to make more investment capital available to businesses so they can grow and hire more people. Another problem is our workforce. Our workforce needs retraining so Oregon can compete better in the global economy. Our recommendation will be to make sure our system of workforce supports are streamlined and actually meeting the needs of both workers and employers to get people back to work. And lastly, the problem of our construction workers and the related industries who don't have enough work to do right now. Our solution is to invest as much as possible in infrastructure projects, roads and bridges and community developments that will put people to work this year, while also laying the foundation for the state's economic prosperity going forward. By addressing these issues, we believe we can create an environment that spurs job growth in our state, allows businesses to flourish, and communities to thrive. Our second priority is helping middle-class families. In addition to getting people back to work, stories keep flooding into us about middle-class families who are struggling just to stay in their homes and fight against the banks who threaten to foreclose on them. Every expert thinks that to recover from this recession, we need to deal with the housing crisis. This is a problem that needs to be addressed now. We frankly believe that banks should sit down with homeowners face to face before they take their houses from them. We also believe that if a bank does foreclose and owns a property, they need to keep it up so housing values in neighborhoods and public safety are not adversely affected. And in addition, to support middle-class families, we need to get health care costs under control and hold insurance companies accountable. We can do this by scrutinizing rate increases and making sure they can be taken to court for unlawful practices. And lastly, we believe in prioritizing essential services that the state provides. The Oregonians hit hardest by the global recession are counting on us to protect what they need right now: education, health care, and public safety. We pledge to continue our work to make government more responsive, accountable, and transparent, and prioritize every dollar to preserve services to seniors, prevent teacher layoffs, and keep our communities safe. By doing this, we will do things like eliminating sweetheart deals for state contractors by requiring increased accountability and transparency. And we will also continue our work to cut excess bureaucracy, duplication, and unnecessary layers of management. We believe it's our responsibility to make sure government works so we can keep the economy getting back on track. And with that, I'd like to pass off to my colleague in the Senate, Senator Diane Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Tina. I am State Senator Diane Rosenbaum, the Senate Majority Leader, and very glad to appear today to present the Senate Democrats' plans for the upcoming February legislative session. We are focused on helping real people, everyday Oregonians like the people that you will hear from in just a few minutes. From middle-class families who are struggling to make ends meet to our small business owners in every corner of the state who are trying to stay in business and create jobs and be able to survive in an economy that's slowly sputtering to recovery but isn't there yet. And we also are standing up for the most vulnerable Oregonians who need the services that the state provides in order to stay afloat. The Senate Democrats' agenda is a pragmatic one that highlights policies that are actually practical solutions to the problems that real people and businesses are facing today. It's achievable, it's sensible, and I want to highlight a couple of aspects of what we're working on today. In terms of the area of doing more with less and sensible budgeting, like everyday Oregonians, we know that state dollars are tight. We know that as we balance the budget, we have to make sure that we prioritize the programs that small businesses and real people need. And that also means eliminating and making more efficient every program that we have. So we will be scrutinizing the state contracting procedures to make sure that we have contracts that are going to the right businesses in Oregon, that we are making the most of those precious dollars. We are looking at things like our state bulk purchasing pool for prescription drugs to ensure that we have maximum participation, because that will save money on the drugs that the state purchases, and that's money that can go back into critical services for seniors and hard-pressed Oregonians and the programs that we need to preserve. In the area of foreclosure, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that it was one of the failures of the 2011 session that we did not pass all the way through the legislature a strong bill that could help people who are faced with losing their homes. Right now, today in Oregon, 1 in 4 Oregonians are underwater on their mortgage. That means that their house is actually worth less than what they owe to a lending institution. And we need to stand up for those people and make sure that there's a level playing field for them so that they don't end up losing their home when they have the ability to work with their lending institution. And the unfortunate thing is that right now, because the bill that did pass the Senate, Senate Bill 827, was not able to get through the House of Representatives, we have not provided those meaningful protections. So Senate Democrats will be working with our colleagues across the building and across the aisle to pass a strong bill that will require that there be a meeting between the lender and somebody from that lender authorized to negotiate a mortgage modification with a mediation program, and also reinstituting the requirement that people who are facing foreclosure be told of what their rights are and be consistently given clear information. This is something that needs to be done. As the Oregonian said recently, this is the most important bill before lawmakers in February. We agree with the Oregonian. We need to do something to keep people in their homes and make sure their rights are protected. So these are some of the issues that Senate Democrats will be working on. But I think even more important than hearing from us is to hear from the real people who need the kind of help that we are looking to provide in passing this legislation. And the first of those people is actually a real person named Real. Her name is Ginny Real. She lives here in Salem. She was faced with the tragedy of foreclosure, and I will turn it over to Ginny to tell her story.
Thank you. I am Ginny Real, and for the records, my actual name is Virginia Real. Some may recognize that as a dance. This past July, my husband and I, we were homeowners here in Marion County. We owed approximately $54,000 against a home worth at least $100,000 more than that. We had been in our home for 24 years. And due to some medical issues, my husband is very handicapped. He's on oxygen full-time and has many heart problems. So our financial situation kind of deteriorated. And because of that, we fell behind. I called Chase, who was our mortgage holder, and they repeatedly told me to do a loan modification. I applied 3 times. The first time was lost. The second time was discarded for lack of information, so they said. And the third time, they just didn't deal with it in a timely manner. So I'm here today so that others won't go through the problems that we've had. We faced homelessness for about 2 months, along with many medical complications. And it just doesn't seem fair. We never had a face-to-face meeting. I couldn't even talk to the same person twice about our situation, wherever the call center was for Chase. And I now know today, if I had had the knowledge today, last summer that I do today, we would still be in our home. I could have done modification at $54,000 with $100,000 equity, possibly refinance. I probably could have done a reverse mortgage and still been in the house with no house payment. So there were other options available. I was not advised of what I could do, and that's why I feel it's important that there be some laws to protect people, to have a one-on-one meeting and let the homeowners know where they're at. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginny. Also with us today is James Vandermeed from McMinnville. He is the owner of Coastal Mountain Springs, which is a small family-run business that's trying to take advantage of the burgeoning green economy. So, James?
Thank you. My name is James Vandermeed, and yes, I'm the owner of Coastal Mountain Springs. We started up probably about 4 months ago, but we've been trying to open our business for the past 2 years. The first year, we were actually led around by the banks in giant circles in the SBA to eventually be told that we didn't qualify for anything. We did not have either a 2-year good successful track record or 100% collateral in the bank. And with either one of these, I would not need a new business loan. After a while, I was working with the community colleges and heard about Business Oregon. And Business Oregon is the part of Oregon that is actually loaning money to small businesses. And it's one of the very few that I have found in the area. Once I successfully completed my classes, Business Oregon was quick, and getting money was relatively easy through them. And once we had received our money, the money was instantaneously back into the economy again. We given it to local contractors, local suppliers, local fees, county fees. The money was probably spent 3 times in the last 3 months since we had spent it 3 months ago. We need more policies like this to ease lending for small businesses. There's many people out there like me who have substantial ideas, great ideas, but they can't get off the ground without help. We go to the SBA thinking that's the place to go to large banks, but they're very reluctant to give us any kind of money. Easier lending is something that we desperately need in Oregon, and easier collateral policies and ways to expand companies that are just starting out, companies that don't have a 2-year successful track record. Small businesses are the backbone of Oregon. We employ and help over a third of Oregon just by ourselves. We're the PTA presidents, we're the voters, we're the volunteers in your community. To give us access to the money is to put the money directly back into Oregon. And that's why I'm fully supporting anything that helps money get back into the hands of people like me, people who want to start and create jobs now. Thank you.
Thank you, James, and thank you, Ginny. As you've heard from all of us, this is about how do we prioritize what we do for Oregonians, real Oregonians, whether it's a small business owner or someone who's facing foreclosure. Those are the priorities that the House and Senate Democrats are bringing forward. And Diane, did you want to say anything else, or we'll take questions?
I think we can take questions.
Any questions?
Given what happened in 2011 with foreclosure legislation and SB 827, what are the prospects to either get that or some other modified version of that through both chambers this session, given that there has been new public attention to the subject?
Well, I am hopeful that we can pass legislation all the way through, get it to the governor's desk. We need to do that. There is bipartisan support for the proposals that we've talked about today, and clearly this problem in Oregon is not going away. We have a huge number of people that are in various states of foreclosure right now. You heard it from Ginny Reel about her experience, and we need to pass this bill. I think that it's a reasonable proposal to say that there should be a meeting, a face-to-face meeting between a lender and a homeowner before a foreclosure can take place with a mediator that can try to work things out. There are programs like that in more than 20 other states that have been very successful, and we can do that here in Oregon. It is something that we should be able to pass, and I am hopeful we will.
And foreclosure is not a partisan issue. It affects every community in this state. While we're prioritizing it, we firmly believe that every legislator in this building has a responsibility to look at this issue. It's affecting our economic recovery. It's affecting our public safety. It's affecting everyday individuals who really need to stay in their homes. So we hope that everyone will step up and do the right thing and help us get these foreclosure bills passed.
Also, last session, there was a proposal, I believe it did not get through the House, on reshaping how the state invests in economic development. I understand there is a new effort to do that. I know Treasurer Wheeler is working on a proposal. How is that different, or how is that going to achieve the objectives you just outlined in
well, the bill, in terms of providing more capital for businesses here in the state, as you've heard from James, the challenges folks are having. If you have, if the lender is asking for 100% liquidity, you don't need a loan. So we need to get real about providing these dollars. The Treasurer is working with State Representative Tobias Reed on a bill we're calling Invest Oregon to leverage the different financial streams here in the state to free up additional lending for small businesses, mid-sized businesses, large businesses who really want to and are ready to hire more folks. They just need more capital. So we're looking very much forward to that bill, and we encourage your staff to talk with Representative Reed to get more details.
We saw the House and Senate Republicans' plans yesterday. Thematically, one might argue there's some overlap, although it's not exact. I mean, can you give me a sense that are there areas in the two agendas where you can come to some kind of agreement?
Well, I think that definitely there needs to be bipartisan cooperation. I think some of the themes are similar. We're all talking about putting Oregonians back to work and helping small businesses that are struggling to survive. So I welcome cooperation on the proposals that we've talked about today and others. We obviously are not going to agree about everything, but clearly prioritizing services, being efficient about how we use the scarce tax dollars that we have, those are things that Republicans and Democrats will come together on. I think there are other proposals that we have talked about today, like foreclosure, where there is bipartisan support, but we did not actually see a proposal on the Republican agenda to deal with that. I don't think that means that is not a priority, but I think it's clearly something that we see as of utmost importance. So there are differences, but I'm confident that we have some shared priorities.
You know, you saw in the House Republican agenda a proposal to give tax credits for folks who want to renovate their homes or businesses who need upgrades. It's ironic that we didn't also see a foreclosure proposal there, because what's really affecting house prices in the homeowner market is the fact that we have too many foreclosed properties out there, and we need to work with homeowners to stay in their homes. I was surprised by the House Republican agenda in terms of its I think it's financial irresponsibility to put plans out there that cost billions of dollars with no way to pay for them. To do some of the things on there, we would have to find cuts of $800 million per year for the next 5 years to fund some of those tax giveaways. So I don't know how reasonable, we have a reasonable plan. We have an achievable plan, and one that at this stage in the game we can actually afford to do. So we hope we have more folks from across the aisle coming to work with us on our plan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.